Hey guys, good morning. So today's video is a live video for everybody, and we are going to be doing the January challenge of the Colored Pencil magazine, which is the sunset silhouette. So I think this picture was actually taken by Sandy. So she is the creator, editor of the magazine. Yeah, Sally Robertson, sorry. And I don't know where I got Sandy from. You guys can find out more about how to enter the competition on the link in the description. And today I'm just going to be demonstrating how I would do it, and if you guys would like to try it and enter the competitions for yourselves, then I would really encourage you to do that. Okay, let's see who's on. Hey Maureen, hi Shay, hey Sandy. Getting tongue twisted with the S's today. Hey Rob, hey Carol. Okay, so feel free to join in on the chat, ask any questions related to art, and we'll be happy to answer. And I do ask that when you do ask any questions, if you can put them in capital letters, because it makes it easier for me to see the difference between you guys talking amongst yourselves, or if you guys have a question directed to me. Okay, so the supplies that we're using today is I'm using the Mitance Canson text paper. So I've used the Canson touch paper before, but I haven't tried the text paper, and from what I can tell, they're not that much different. So I will get a feel for it today. I think it's like 5 GSM more than the Canson touch paper. So all that is that the paper has a little bit of a grit on it, so it's not as smooth, not as smooth as like watercolor paper. So when you apply your pencils to this paper, the color really sticks to the paper. It adheres to it quite well. Hey Ian, hey Margine. Okay, so this is just a print out of the reference that we're going to draw today, and I'm just going to use this as a guide for sort of placing the areas down. And then once we do this, I'm actually going to show you how I'm going to completely change it up so that I can make the image a little bit more unique. So it's really great if you can take a reference for these challenges and change it up and make it more stylized towards yourself, or make it different so that it stands out and it's not just this image, if that makes sense. But I'm not going to show you what adjustments I'm going to make to it yet. I'll show you towards the end when I'm ready to place my sort of design over the top of the background. Hey Maria, welcome. Maria says, this is my first live view all the way from London. Really looking forward to this. Just beginning in colored pencils. I'm so happy to hear that. That's great. Okay, so I spoke about the paper. The paper that I'm using is the Canson Mitance text paper, not the touch, the text paper. The materials are listed in the description. And I am also going to be using my Caran d'Ache Pablo pencils to put the color down. And then if I want to get like sort of lighter, wispier bits in the clouds, I might use the brush and pencil titanium white powder, which looks like that. And I might possibly use a fixative to seal in the background before I put my design over the top of the background, but I will see later in time to see, because maybe the paper will be fine for me to continue to put layers on top without having to seal it. Okay, rightio. The music isn't too loud, is it? Just let me know if it's a bit overpowering. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with just finding this line over here. So this sort of shape in the landscape here. And the silhouettes of the trees and the designs, like the wispy grass, we do much later. So you're gonna block in the whole background. All I'm going to do is find this line over here, and then we're going to start working in the background. We're going to do all of it blue first, and we're not even going to worry about the clouds until later. So something you might want to do is, like, I like to give my students the advice of keeping the reference really, really close to your drawing, because your eye doesn't have to travel too far looking from your drawing to the reference. So the closer it is, the more that you actually see. Let's use a nice dark brown. So we're not worried about getting exact colors or anything yet. We just want to establish the basics. So I think I'm going to start off with a charcoal gray, actually number 409 charcoal gray, and this is the Caran d'Ache Pablo pencil set. So I just have I think a set of 120, and those are the pencils I'll be using today. And I just want to get this line over here. And when you hold it close, you can see where you need to rise a little, where you need to fall or dip a little. And go up, and a little bit sideways. Okay. It is as simple as that, and I will use the side of my pencil to just block this area in. So this it does feel a bit more textured than the Meton's Touch paper. So it feels like the grit is a little more coarse, but that's fine. And also, I never use pressure. I use solvent to block the color into the texture of the paper. I don't use pressure. Maybe the only time I might use some pressure is like when I know that I'm going to be doing a final layer. So I know I'm not going to apply anything further over the top, then I might add a little bit of pressure. I'd like to call it the touch-up phase of a drawing, really. So that's much later. For now, all we want to do is we just want to, that's all we wanted, just that section there. And now what I'd like to do is I'm going to work from the top down on this reference, or looking at this reference. I'm going to work from the top down, and I'm going to try and get this gradation of blues into these like warm gray tones. Okay, so if you want the reference, go to the link in the description, and then you can download the reference photo and you can try for yourself. And then if you're following this whole thing, have the reference photo as a separate little window next to this live window, and then you'll be able to see what I'm talking about as I go through the drawing, because you won't have that big print on the screen all the time. Happy New Year, Marilyn. Hi, Kim. All the usual faces, it's so nice. It's always pleasing when you guys come back. And if you're going to use a textured paper like this, it's going to eat through your pencils. I mean, it's like sandpapering the core of your pencil, so it's going to eat through it, so just keep that in mind. If you want to save your pencils as much as possible, then maybe not go with a sanded paper, maybe go with like a watercolor paper instead. Okay, so I want to find that blue. So what you could do, because I haven't created swatches for my pencils yet, so something I like to do sometimes is I compare the core color to the reference color. Let's say that one's a bit too blue, that one's a bit closer, that one's even better. So I'll start off with this blue and go down, and then over here I want to start adding warm grey tones. So I'm just looking at my palette. When I say palette, I mean my pencils. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, warm grey. What's this one? Yeah, this is good. This is beige, number 403. I feel like an old lady. I have to sort of look at look at the pencil sideways like this, but like it's not that easy to to read that gold. Okay, so this blue is gonna sort of go down into this beigey color, and then we've got some orangey tones here because you have the sun setting right here. We will add some orange tones. So there we have that blue. Let me put that higher on the screen. That blue into this beige, and then here we would add a bit of light ochre, number 032, and then down here we will add orange, or not so orange, more of a, this one is Venetian red. Okay, so I want to create the gradation using these 4 colored pencils from the top down to the bottom above that line that we put down first. Starting with the blue. So have a reference handy, and I'm not fussed about the clouds. I'm actually gonna ignore the clouds. What you could do though, if you're using watercolor paper and you're worried about the, you know, using blue and then going over the blue with the yellow, because it might turn out a bit greenish, then don't cover this whole section with blue. Actually, let me do that for you. May as well. So look at your reference and you want to go get that shape of the cloud in there. So that shape of the cloud. And we want to get this cloud in there, so we know that this cloud starts about there. Get that shape in there. And then that cloud there. Sort of a angle one. You can see that I've gone a little bit. That's another tip. If you want to know if you've maybe drawn something too big or too small, then put your reference over the top and quickly move it away. It's probably going to mess up with your eyes, but quickly move it away and then you'll be able to see if you may have gone a bit too big or too small. So we've gone too big here. And you'd be able to sort of judge where it needs to end. So that actually If you use your pencil against your reference, that starts there, that's fine, that's fine. That actually is coming all the way here. And that ends there. Okay. And if you put it on this side, you can see if you've maybe have ended too high or too low. So use your pencil to measure. So you can see that this end of the cloud here needs to be level over there, which it is over here. And if I place this here, I know that that cloud over there starts here. And then goes around like that. So it's just a matter of really looking at your reference a lot and trying to find ways to sort of pinpoint where things are located. So this is the way you would do a freehand outline. If you want to get really accurate, fast outline, then you would transfer your image instead. Okay. So with your questions, so I can already see I made this cloud that looks way bigger than that one there. So, but if you take the light areas around it into consideration, then I think it's actually okay. But it may not be high enough. So that cloud actually needs to start over here. Okay, and then down here, you got these clouds over here, just underneath it. So your beginning layers are going to look not so great for a while until you start developing them. It's a process of development. It's going to look bad before it looks good. Okay. This little dip here, there's a... So I know I'm still using the blue, but this is just to find certain lines. Okay, that's all I want. So now we're going to fill this top section of the sky in with the blue and avoid the clouds. And all I'm doing is paying attention to my reference. You can see that pretty much up to about here. This is the darkest blue at the top and over here, and then it's going to start going lighter from there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I forgot to record. Oh dear. So I'll record for about 15 minutes and then I'll take everyone's questions. Now what did I do with the memory card? I'll be right back. So the other camera is set up. I didn't even think of the other camera. So I'm just using the side of the pencil. I'm not using a lot of pressure. Like if you want to use, the more pressure you want to apply, the closer you're going to hold your pencil at the core. The less pressure you want to apply, the further you're going to hold your pencil to the back. So I don't want to apply much pressure. I just want to get the color sort of down with the side of my pencil. So I'm holding the back of the pencil and using the weight of the pencil to put that's how light the layer is that I'm putting down, and it's enough. And then if you want to darken some areas up, just go over the area again. Same pressure, you're just adding more layers really. You're just adding a bit more pigment. So just the areas you can see that needs a bit more blue. Okay. So I really like the consistency of that being quite light, so I'll go further down, just a little further, still using the side of the pencil. Now if you're using watercolor paper, this will be a bit different. You may have to apply a bit more pressure than this on watercolor paper. I can see a bit more of the blue on the side here. It's very light, and here, very light. Okay, so that's about as far as I'll go with the blue. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the beige and sort of from the middle go further down. Again, just with the sharp pencil, holding the back of the pencil, using the weight of the pencil to apply a light layer of that color. Now, let's see if I can brighten this up for you guys. It's gonna look dull and boring at first, but it will get better. Okay, so using the beige, this is number 403. And then I'm going to go sort of halfway, and then I will go all the way to the bottom. I'm even going to go over these clouds because they are surprisingly dark. You think that it's just the edges of the clouds that are white, but not the inside of the clouds are pretty dark. And even in this one here. So it seems like nothing at the moment, but you wait and see. And then I'm going to add some of these warm tones. So light ochre number 032, and again a light layer sort of at the bottom section here, and then I will answer some questions. It's going to be so much fun when we blend this with solvent, because that color is just going to pop right out. I can see the blue is a little bit sharper over here. Just add a bit more. Okay, think I'll blend that in with solvent and then I will take questions. Also, just on another note, Colored Pencil Magazine hasn't asked me to do this. I'm just doing this because I like the idea of being able to provide a tutorial or video that I'll show you how I do it. And it's still, you guys have the opportunity to do something with your drawing. If you decide to do this one, you can enter it into the Colored Pencil Magazine and perhaps win some art supplies. So I by no means have to do this video in any way, and I'm not sponsored or anything, so I'm just doing it for fun, and they are my favorite magazine, so I will say that. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking this brush and I'm just cleaning off any excess color that I may have had used the last time I blended solvent with it, and then I'm dipping my brush in some of the zested pencil blend. So the solvent that I'm using is this one, zested pencil blend. So dip some in there, dab off any excess, and then I want to blend the color in. So if the color moves around a lot like that, then you know you've got too much solvent on your brush, so then you need to just dab off more. You really need very, very little solvent on your brush, not much at all. And this is the first layer, and this is textured, so you'll find that because part of your brush is dry, it's almost like pushing the powder off of the paper because of the texture. But once it's wet, it will stick on there, and then as you apply more layers, those layers will really adhere to the paper. So it's just like the first layer is going to be pretty dull and boring, but it's going to be something for your next layer of pencils to sort of stick to better, if that makes sense. You can decide the order you want to blend in. Like now, if I want to go and blend in there, all I have to do is just wipe my brush clean with some new solvent and then go ahead and blend that in. So that's the light cloud, or the underpainting for the cloud. Okay, while I'm doing that, let me see if I can find some questions. Rob's asking me, have I had time to think about the traveling art project? Yes, I have, but I just have not had the opportunity to get to the first box yet. I bought the tins and I've got the supplies. I just need to make time to create the little passports and formally write out the rules and everything. And I still need to create the social media and that for the traveling art tin, and then we can get it going. But I wanted to start it already, but I just haven't had the opportunity yet. But so that's sort of the status at the moment on the traveling tins. Ian is asking, when painting a watercolor in the blue and the yellow, neutralize to a grey band for a bit. Does it do that with colored pencil, or do you use a grey pencil? Well, we're using solvent on the colored pencils, sort of like you use water on the watercolor pencils, so it may do the same, but I don't know. I don't have that much experience with watercolor, so I don't know if I can really say. Clarice is asking, am I leaving Patreon? So, the short answer to that is yes. The detailed answer to that is not yet. So, over the course of this year, I will be moving away from Patreon because I am using my own platform on my own website, and I have way more control over all the content that I put there, and it's a lot easier for me to sort of structure it. So the student portal with Patreon, so you have your posts with your video links and everything in Patreon, but you have to look for them and you have to scroll quite often, so you don't have like a quick shortcut way of finding content quickly. So so let's say, for instance, you know that I did a tutorial about values, but you don't know when I did it, and you're not sure where to find it. It's hard for you to find that tutorial on Patreon because you don't remember when it was done, if that makes sense. This is just one small example. So on my website, I'm at least able to create shortcuts of all the video content I've ever done, and you guys can get there real quick. And so I have a shortcut list with the photos, I have the worksheet downloads, the reference downloads. I have my free Udemy course on there for students. I have ebook downloads. I have all that stuff that's really easy to navigate through the website, whereas it's not that easy with Patreon. And also with Patreon, obviously it's a third-party platform that I'm going through, whereas I'd prefer to just have control over my own content on my own website, if that makes sense. So during the process of this year, people are going to start transitioning from Patreon to my website, and that's already there. So everything that's available on Patreon, I have all of that available on the student portal now on my website, and more than Patreon. So a lot of students have already transitioned over. But yes, I'm moving away from Patreon over the course of this year. You guys are all getting your Christmas goodies. A lot of you managed to get it just after Christmas. Those in Australia or New Zealand would have gotten theirs before Christmas. But some of you are getting it. Some of you are only getting it now. That's like three whole weeks that you guys have waited for the Christmas gifts. Because I sent everything on the 11th of December, I think. I'm glad everyone's receiving them. Don't worry if it doesn't look like very smooth because of your brush strokes. It's the first layer, it's going to disappear. You're not going to notice it later. So it's gonna look grey and murky for a little bit until we get to put in those nice bright oranges and yellows. Then the sky won't look so sad. So blending can take a little bit of a time because you are using such a small amount. It will dry up, but you want to use tiny amounts at a time and just take your time, because if you use too much solvent, then it's not going to work out for you. It's just going to move around. It's going to move around if you're using sanded paper. If you're using watercolor paper, it's just really going to saturate your paper. You don't need much to get the pigment to show. Okay, and we can blend this. Okay, so that is a perfect number 1 layer. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pick it up a bit more, make it brighter. Okay, so I am going to use the blue jeans number 155 again. I'm going to go over some of that blue again. I'm not too worried about the clouds yet. The clouds can go over the top of this. And we're going to be using the titanium white. So if you happen to go a little bit too dark, we will be able to use the titanium white to our advantage for the clouds. So again, if you want to take your reference closer to sort of just make sure that you're getting the shapes right a little more, Okay. Let's blend that in. Again, very, very little on your brush. If the dogs bark, then someone's here. So just blending this part of the sky in. So I can see that I'm getting a little bit too dark in the sky, which is fine. That part is quite dark. We might add a little bit of a brighter light blue, a happier blue. But if you layer like this and you blend and layer and blend, you're gonna see your colors, and it's gonna make it clearer for you to see what kind of adjustments you need to make. So I'd like to add a little bit of a happier blue, like I said. So I'm gonna go with a lighter blue. So I think I'm going to use, no, that one's a bit too turquoisey. This blue. So light blue, number 161. Oh, what was I saying? Donna is asking, what is your favorite brand of colored pencils and why? That is such a difficult question to answer. So for, I don't know. I think I'm sort of, I've always loved my Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils. So I will probably still say that they are my number one. The Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils are my favorite pencils. And then right very, very, very close to them are these, the Caran d'Ache Pablo pencils. And so that's oil-based pencils. So it's hard to say because it's more like out of the types of pencils that there are, what's my favorite. So out of the oil-based pencils, the Polychromos pencils are my favorite. Out of the wax-based pencils, so I don't know. The wax-based pencils, I still use my Prismacolor pencils all the time. So even though, you know, some of them have manufacturing problems, like I still love my Prismas. And I have my Caran d'Ache Luminance pencils, but because they're so expensive, I still tend to stick to my Prismacolor pencils. So I'd say if I had to pick out of one that I'd pick first, in terms of coloring and what I have on hand, my Prismacolor pencils will be the ones I go for. My Luminance pencils I use slowly and carefully because they're expensive. So wax-based pencils, I'd say my Prismacolor pencils are my favorite. Watercolor pencils, I've only tried the Faber-Castell watercolor pencils, the Albate Jura, and I tried them recently for the first time and I am in love with them. So I can't compare them to other watercolor pencils because I haven't tried other watercolor pencils. What other pencils? Pastel pencils, I don't have much experience in pastel pencils, so I won't be able to say. But in general, I love wax and oil-based pencils. I love using them together. And many Polychromos and Prismacolor pencils. That was a very, very long answer. I'm so sorry. Hey, Wicked! I haven't seen you for a while. Okay, so this blue is just adding a little bit of a brighter touch. And then let's go back into the warm grays. So now I'm going to use this beige again, number 403. So don't worry if it looks a bit cold and dull and a little bit depressing at the moment. When we put these orange, these bright orange colors in there and the yellows, it's going to look amazing. Okay, let's add a bit more of the light ochre at the bottom here. So I am starting to cook in this back room, and I know a lot of you are really suffering from the freezing cold. Far out, I looked at the news and it's just crazy what's happening with the weather by you guys. Most of you. So you guys that are in Australia or New Zealand or sort of this part of the world, is the opposite for you. It's getting very, very hot. Oh, let me not go too far with that. And winds, Maureen was telling me that the wind speed in today's weather is just hectic. I feel for you. Oh, that's so nice. Quite a few UK viewers. Isn't it extremely late by you guys right now? Okay, let's add a bit of this really warm tone. Venetian red, just here at the bottom. Beautiful. And then here on the left, actually, let me add a bit of that too. Now you'll see as we gradually blending all of this in, it's gonna just start getting better and better. So that bright blue, we want to go ahead and blend that in because we added a bit more of that happy blue. So what's happened here is this piece of tissue that I'm using, it's very bright. Oh. So this piece of tissue that I'm using is pretty saturated in the solvent, but because of that now, I am not even bothering dipping my brush in the solvent anymore. I'm just using the excess solvent on the tissue. That's how little solvent you need on your brush. It's the tiniest amount. Donna's asking, is there any tricks to using oil and wax-based pencils at the same time? Well, yes, there are if you're using different papers. So, the trick to using oil and wax-based pencils on watercolor paper. When you use light layers, multiple light layers of both oil and wax-based pencils, it doesn't matter. There's not a specific ratio of more oil or more wax-based pencils. You can use them in any combination. But one suggestion I do have is that when it comes time to do like the final layers and you want to apply lighter colors over darker colors, you need to use your wax-based pencil lighter colors over the darker layers that you place down with both your wax and oil-based pencils. Because the wax-based pencils are creamier and more opaque than the oil-based pencils, the lighter colors will show up over the top of your layers of colored pencils. If you try and put let's say your white oil-based pencil over the top of some other colors, the oil-based pencil is too translucent to show up over the top. It's not as opaque. So in that sense, your final layers, you'd want to use wax-based pencils over the top of your layers if you want to get some highlights or lighter colors out over the top. If you are using textured paper like this, like sanded paper, you can, I don't know, I don't find that I use many of my wax-based pencils actually, now that I think of it, when I use the sanded paper, because the pigment comes out pretty bright anyways. Oh, and something that I noticed when you use watercolor paper and you use your wax and oil-based pencils on watercolor paper, the wax-based pencils seem to have a brighter pigment than the oil-based pencils. It's strange. But on textured paper, sanded paper, not textured paper, both of them have a very strong pigment. And you can use your white oil-based pencils to layer on the top of your darker layers on sanded paper, but you can't do it on watercolor paper. So there's a lot to think about in terms of paper. So yes, the rules do change. Well, I don't like to say rules, but the technique does change when you use different kinds of paper. But in terms of the ratio of mixing oil and wax-based pencil together, that doesn't matter. You can use 70% oil, 30% wax. You can use 70% wax, 30% oil. One thing I would say though is that I can't stress the light layers enough, because if your layers aren't light enough, especially if you're using wax-based pencils, because they are creamy, it's easy to get thick layers down. If you do 3 thick layers of wax-based pencil, it'll be too thick for you to put anything else over the top, so it'll just become like a waxy bloom of a mess. So light layers are key. Aww. Ian's asking, how are my dogs doing? They are doing wonderful. I don't know, they're so weird. They love the sun. They love the extreme heat. So for those who don't know, I have 2 Rhodesian Ridgebacks, and they adore the sun. Like it will be 40 degrees outside and they would want to be in the sun. I don't let them when it's that hot, because I know that they like to lie in the sun, but I don't like it when they lie in the sun like that. So Taylor, she's even super weird. She'll lie on the super hot, boiling hot concrete, and then she'll come inside and pant and lie on the cold, ice cold tiles, and then go back outside and lie on the super hot concrete. They're so strange. But yeah, they're doing good. Thank you for asking. Okay, I think I'd like to add some more of that blue, but I think maybe even a bit lighter. No. So I'm gonna add a bit more of the light blue over here because I just went a little bit too far with the yellow tones. That's true. Wicked says you haven't seen me for a while because you haven't been streaming on YouTube. Yep, I know. Well, I do two live streams on YouTube a month now. So the beginning of the month is the Color Pencil Magazine monthly challenge, and towards the middle or the end of the month I'll do the Smart Art Box video. And then I give the Smart Art Box away. So that's two. And then I'm streaming 2, 3, 4 times a week for my students. Okay, so what I'm also going to do now is I'm going to take a nice light warm grey, so ash grey number 401, which is quite light, and go over some of these areas here. See how you can add a lighter color over your darker colors? We're slowly getting closer to the fun parts. So once we get the sky done and we're happy with that, the very, very background, then when we start adding the detailing of the clouds, it's going to be really, really nice. So the silhouettes of the trees and that we're going to do very last. We're going to do the complete sky and the clouds first, and then we will get to the trees. Pet Drawings is asking, what program do you use to crop a video? I use, for all my video editing, I use a program called Camtasia, which is available on Mac and Windows. And I think you just pay a once-off fee for the software, and it's great. It's very versatile. You can change your video sizes to square, rectangle, whatever you want. You can custom size them. And yeah, it's a very, very easy to use software. It's not, you don't need a lot of time to learn how to use it. The tutorials are very simple as well. So the music I'm listening to, if you're wondering, it's called the Best of 2017 album on epidemicsound.com. So it's all royalty-free music, which is really great. So I can use them in any of my videos, and the music's really good. They have so much music to pick from. I like them a lot more than the royalty-free music that YouTube gives you. Ooh, that just reminded me, see that section there? Okay, I'll have to show you this. Let me first blend this in. So this only works on textured paper. Not textured paper, I'm gonna stop saying that. Sanded paper. Sanded paper. So you can, it's sort of a technique that they use in watercolor pencils. you can sort of do the same thing with solvent on sanded paper. Ian's asking, when did you discover that you could blend colored pencil? Well, I saw this method way back when from Lisa. So Lisa's the one that I think worked out, or I don't know if it's Lisa or a couple of other artists, but Lisa did this years ago. So she used the Mona Lisa odorless solvent, and then I was like, oh wow. So yeah, she's the first one that I saw it from, and then sort of experimented with it from there. I only started drawing in April 2014. That's when I bought my first set of colored pencils. So I don't have as much experience as Lisa does. And I still consider myself a student as well. I'm learning a lot from other artists still to this day. So even though I'm teaching art, I'm by no means a qualified art teacher or anything. I don't have a piece of paper that qualifies me to be an artist per se. So and I think that's also nice in a sense, because when you see other artists that haven't had much experience in that showing you how they learn so quickly, it gives you confidence in learning quickly too. Because I don't think that you need to learn how to do art realistically or uniquely by going to a school that teaches you more about history than practical anyways. So I think you need to discover what you want to do for yourself, and not what they teach you is right or wrong. You need to decide for yourself what are the right methods for you to use, or the methods that you don't really want to use, not because a degree tells you to use them. That's my opinion. What I just said is my opinion. It's art is supposed to be fun. It's just a time to quiet your mind and enjoy yourself. Be creative. Change something that's nothing into something that's something. Whether it be a great success or an epic fail, you learn from it and it's your own. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Okay, so now what I want to show you is, before I do that though, I'm going to take a ivory, I think, cream. I'm going to take cream number 491, and I need to change this. The brightness on this is just causing some funniness. Okay, so I'm going to take the cream and just add some, sharpen it first. Okay, and add some cream to the lighter areas. And going down here. Bring that in. So this is none of the detailing. This is the very back of the background. So behind the clouds, behind the silhouette trees, the very back. Okay. Here. Now let me show you something cool that you can do with standard paper. This doesn't work with watercolor paper. Okay, so what I'm gonna use a smaller brush. So I think I'm going to use this one, which I need to clean because it's got some yellow pigment from my last tutorial. So clean that off properly. So if you put a little bit more, if you put excess solvent on here, you can use this to your advantage on textured paper. So I have a bit more solvent on here than normal, and I want to actually lift some pieces off. So watch this. So if you have excess solvent, you can pick some of this off. Pick some of the pigment off, or you're moving it around to sort of the edges in a way. So that's why it needs to be almost completely dry if you want to blend that into the paper. But if it's too wet, you're going to move it around. So we use this to our advantage with sanded paper because we want to move it around and bring a bit of the lighter color underneath the clouds back out again. So we can even use a smaller brush for some of these even lighter areas of the clouds. More pigment and more solvent. Christine's asking, Sheldine, do you find it difficult to draw fine detail on the fluffy text paper? I kind of gave up on it. Ooh, well, watch when I do the fine little details of the silhouettes of the trees, and I'll show you what you do. You use a teeny tiny brush with solvent, sort of like this, to manipulate those real tiny little pieces of branches. So I'll show you what to do with this particular paper with fine details, that fine. There is a nice little trick about it. So here, let me show you this. So I have extra solvent on my brush, and there's all these little wispy clouds. Now they got like a pinkish color in them, so we can add that later. I'll add color to this now, and I'll show you the idea of what we're gonna do with these clouds. This paper is really good for things like this. Okay, so that color in there, what color? Ooh, I think this one, apricot. That looks good. So these clouds here have an apricot color in them. So I'm just showing you the idea of what I'm getting at here. So you can add this nice apricot color in those light little wispy bits of the clouds. We might not even need to use the titanium white. Not on this paper anyways. You see that? I'm noticing more colors already in the sky that I might have to put down before the clouds, before I work on the clouds anymore. So then you can take a smaller brush and you can sort of blend that in softly, because we want it to look very, very soft. And then if you want it to look even, let's say you still went too dark, then you can take your brush, put on a little bit more solvent than normal, and then you could lift it off even more. But now when you lift it off, you've got this other color in there too. So they're starting to look like clouds. Because when you're working on clouds, they have little bits that are a little bit more highlighted than normal. So let's use a white over here. And so the white will help us highlight other parts of the clouds to give them sort of more of a shape. So this is the idea. This is the detailing part that we're actually getting to later. I'm just showing you a little bit in advance, just because I was getting ahead of myself. Excited to show you. So yes, that's the idea of detailing on top of the clouds. I'm seeing pink in there. Pink. So I'm taking a bit of the Granite Rose, $4.93. Yes, that's better. Cool, and then we build it up like that. So that's sort of the idea for later. But I wonder if this will work. I want to add this pink in the sky. Yes, I definitely want to add this pink in the sky. let's actually go sort of in this direction, because that might make it look a little bit more like streams of light coming from this direction, which is where the sun is setting. Yes, it's starting to look happier. Add a little bit around here. Okay, blend that in with a bigger brush. Okay, less solvents, less. So just that hint of pink adds a bit more. Soften these. How cool is that? It's getting there. So as you develop layer by layer, it starts looking more and more like you want it to. Okay, so let's keep let's add some orange. We will add some orange, number 030. Right here. I like that. Yay, it's starting to look warmer. Let's blend that in. Hardly anything on the brush. That's adding a lot of warmth. Okay. I'm feeling like I want to add pink. Before I blend that in more, I want to add this pink over the top of it. This is the Granite Rose 493. Yep, that's better. So you see these crumbly bits here? So, you know, if you add water to powder, but you don't add a lot of water, and then it starts making like a muddy sort of thing. So that's kind of what's happening. Because I don't have a lot of solvent on there, And just above the surface of the paper, because it's a sanded paper, some of the pencil gets sort of powderized. So what happens then is the little bit of dampness on the brush picks it up and it makes those little clumpy bits. So that's why you're seeing that. But be not afraid of them. Simply blow them off. Or use a brush to wipe it off. Do not use your hand. Where be my brush? Here. So if you're going to use a brush, use a bigger one. And you're starting to get some nice warmth in there. So I wish you could see. So to me, from my eye, it's very, very much brighter than what you've seen. It's a bit better. It's a little bit better. Now, I'm also noticing that it might help to add a little bit of a purple color. Just a little bit. So, very, very lightly. I'm going to add a little bit of purple here. So, like so light, I'm literally just brushing some of the purple on here. And under here. Okay. Very, very dark. Very, very subtle, but good change. So like, you're adding such a subtle amount, but it makes such a difference in just adding those extra colors. Like, I don't know, you start, the more color you add, the more color you start to see appearing that you need to add again later. And then I'd like to go back in with a bit of blue over here because I brought that yellow up a bit too far. See the beauty, if you add light layers, you can, there's no limit to how many layers you can add, so you can constantly adjust as much as you want. I'm gonna be right back and turn the aircon on and grab a snack. So just give me less than a minute. Okay, I'm back. Robert's saying check your watch position. Yes. So my watch is there. But the reason the watch is there, that's more for the time-lapse video with the other camera that's recording over the top of that. So it looks really cool when the hands of the clock just zoom by. Okay, so blending in that blue. Right, now we can start with the sky. Let's get some other music going here. Go the Ultimate Remixes album. See how that works. Hopefully it's not too heavy. Cool, cool, cool. Oopsie. Right. So I am liking that. It's looking nice and smooth. I love the warm colors. I like the blue colors, and just the way they sort of moving into one another is really nice. So now the fun part starts, where we can start adding the clouds, the details of the clouds. Okay. So I'm going to put solvent on my brush and extra solvent on my brush, and I'm going to use that to lift off wispy cloud areas, if that makes sense. And like I said, this will only work on sanded paper, not so much watercolor paper. So watercolor paper, in this, if this was watercolor paper, then these clouds here, I'd probably be using my white wax-based pencils to get them in. White, or my lighter color wax-based pencils. See you, Christine. Thank you for joining us. Okay. Camera check, all good. Thank you, Rob. Good morning, Diane. When you say good morning, does that mean like 1 a.m. in the morning kind of good morning? Or are you in my time zone? I want to use a smaller brush. where Esme is. I haven't seen her for a while. I did let those following me on Instagram know that I'd be on today. Cool. Yeah, I got Lisa's newsletter, and I'm so glad that she is all good and feeling much better. She had a very rough year last year, so it's good to have her back. You really realize how much someone does when they go quiet for a little while. Then you're like, far out, I'm so used to seeing something from this person every week, and then when they go quiet, then you're like, oh geez. Hopefully that makes some people sort of take a step back and realize just how much they put out there. Especially Lisa. I don't think I know anyone that works as hard as she does. That's discipline there. That's time management discipline. But if you love something that much, it's you'll do it, because then the time is experienced differently. It's not a job. Hey, Christy. It's so cool just how much you can do with colored pencils. They're so versatile. There's just there's new things that keep happening with pencils all the time. Oh, that's sweet of you, Robert. I'm not selling myself short. No. I know I did an amazing month, but like I said, you could get really busy like that and it doesn't feel like that much of a job because it's very enjoyable. And doing the live streaming in that, and like sort of like you really make friends online like this. Like so many of you are, you faces that keep coming back, which means a lot. So when it's that much fun and that enjoyable, then it's easy to do that much. Well, you know what I mean. It's a lot of work, but it's easy in the sense that it's enjoyable. Okay, so now we can start making those like proper cloudy edges. We haven't even added the colors of the clouds in yet. This is just how we are bringing those little bits of clouds out of the sky. Finding out where they are, and then we'll add more detail. You guys make me blush. I can feel my face get warm. You can probably see it. Okay, I can only stream until 11:30 today because I have something else going on at 12. So I need to try and get a move on. See what we can do in 45 minutes. Well, I can go for an hour. As long as I stop at 11:45, I should be good. So I don't think I'm gonna get to the part where I change this into a unique design, but I'll show you the design that I made. So this is the reference image, and the way I'd like to draw it after I've done the whole reference image as it is there, I want to do this. So I designed this in Clip Studio, and I want to put this sort of profile portrait over the top of it. So it's just like an overlay. So that's how I want to change it up and just make it a little bit more unique. So you'll probably see that in the time-lapse video, but you won't see me do it live, unfortunately. Unless I could do it live, finish it off live tomorrow at the same time. Tomorrow is my Saturday. So I could do that if you guys really want to see that live. I can just continue on with it. And it'll be part 2 of the stream. So up to you guys. I don't mind. What, Jamie? 43 degrees tomorrow. Far out. What is that in Fahrenheit? That's like 110 degrees. Sandy says, I'll be snowed in here, so I'll be a captive audience. Okay then, it's decided. So because I can only stream till 11:45 my time, so on here, so there you can see it's 10 to 12 at 11:45. I need to stop, but then I'll carry on tomorrow for you guys. Same time. So I guess when you guys, like, I don't even think about things like this because I guess I don't have to, but for those that experience all the snow and that, if you know that there's going to be a big snowstorm and you might get snowed in, I guess you guys really prep up your groceries in advance, don't you? So you guys sort of make sure you have enough supplies for a month because you don't know if there'll be a time where you cannot get out to get supplies. Does it get that bad, or you'd still be able to get out and get supplies even if you snowed in? Does that mean you could walk but you can't drive? Thank you, Maureen. Okay, let me use a bigger brush here. Okay, so you guys only need a few days of supplies. Can generally get out after a few days. King says you get grocery deliveries in vans too and can get out after a short while. Cool. I guess, no. If that's what you experience every year, there are plans. You can still live alive. They have a system. Okay, so these clouds here are pretty important because, and this is also another reason why you should always do the very background first, especially if you're doing a landscape, is it'd be very hard to get these clouds in if you had the silhouette trees in first. Because how do you work between the branches? So you need to make sure that you do the background first. As exciting as it is to do the details in the foreground, it is, whoopsie. Put myself there. As exciting as it is to put the details in the foreground, you need to just persevere and do the background first. Okay, Jamie's asking me, is there a reason you're using a small brush on a big surface? So the reason I'm using the brush now, Jamie, is to lift off any excess, and you can only do this on a sanded surface. And this is what's giving us the shapes of the clouds. So I'm using it to create cloud shapes, not so much for blending right now. So that's why I'm using a smaller brush to get in the smaller clouds. My brush is dirty. It's okay because there's still going to be yellow in there anyways. Gradually it's slowly starting to look like clouds. It's going to be great when we get those values in the clouds. Okay. Okay, let's add some color. So let's do the darker values in the center. So that's like a purple gray color. What kind of color is that? I'm gonna use this, excuse me, you're gonna get stuck in there, Taylor. Taylor, you gotta get out there. My dog just went under the table, but she's quartering herself. You happy there? You happy there? Lie down. Can you lie down? Lie down. Taylor, lie down. Good girl. Good girl. This is what you have to see it to. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm using my indigo blue, number 139. And this the indigo blue in the Caran d'Ache Pablo pencil set is it seems to be more of a purple color than a blue color. I'm sorry. Taylor. Oh dear. She was so funny. I just made myself cry with laughter. Just hold on. Okay, I'm back. Right, so I'm using the indigo blue number 139. It's got the Pablo pencils. It's like a purpley color. It's not quite blue. It's not like the Prismacolors or the Polychromos pencils. So this color is just working for the inside of the clouds, the darker values of the clouds. Robert says Shaldine finally loses it. Graceland wants to see it. It's too hard. Let me try. Maybe if I unclip this. I don't know if this is going to be a long enough cord. Let me see. Oh, no, just hold on. The things I do for you guys. Okay, let's see. Let me put the webcam back on. There she is. Hello. You're in there, you're cornered. She can't move anywhere else. It's like you're snug in there, aren't you? You happy? Hey Tay? You happy? Show us your pink nose. Ah, there we go. It was just funny the way she maneuvered herself in there. Okay. Right, back to normal. There we go. Okay. That's one thing I'm never short of in this house is laughter with these dogs. It can be so funny. Yeah, Taylor, so the one that you just saw now, she's really my baby. She's glued to me. She always has to be by me. And Honey is a little bit more of a wandering spirit. She's happy to be here, there, wherever. And she's definitely more Vinny's dog as well. So when he's here, she's always with him, not with me. But Taylor, yep, she's my dog, definitely. My baby, Tay. My baby. Okay. So we got that in there. Don't care about the texture. You guys will think. You guys get the gist of it now. You know how I smooth it out with the solvent. Yes, Taylor's a mommy's girl. Oh, if you guys have Instagram, please take photos of your dogs and tag me in it. Please, I'd love to see. Not just your dogs, your cats as well. Or if you have any strange other kinds of pets. Guinea pigs, hamsters, rats, snakes. I'd love to see. Oh, let me not forget about the parrots and the birds as well. I love those names, Patches and Oreo. You can already envisage a personality from those names. Okay, there's tiny little patches of this in here. Okay. And then this is where I think I'd like to add a bit of the purple as well. So add a little bit of the mauve, 111. Just a little, not too much, because this is quite a bright color. Okay, now I'd like to blend that in using a little bit of solvent. I don't want to lift the color off, I want to blend the color in. People have for that. This is such a beautiful photo that Sally took. I actually wonder where it is. I don't know. I don't think I read to find out where she took the photo. Okay. Yes. Now. Okay, I want to add a warmer color to that purple. See what I mean? It's indigo blue. It doesn't look like blue. It looks a bit more like purple. But anyways, I want to add some of the burnt sienna 069. We're going to make that warmer. So pretty much just going over the indigo blue that we put down. Those are trees. Okay, and then I'd like, you can add these pinks and yellows. So granite rose 493 sharpness. Ah, I got myself a snack and I forgot about it. I'm getting hungry now. I'm having a white chocolate macadamia nuts vegan Cliff Bar. Okay, so if I look at sort of the outer, if I look at the like outer layers over here, there's this pink in there. Do you see that? And in these clouds here, there's little bits of these pink everywhere. So that's what I want to put in. And then I'll add more of the yellow. So those areas that we softened off, that we lifted off with the solvent. We're going to add this pink in there too. Oh, Marilyn! Marilyn says, I want to thank you so much for my gift giveaway. I wanted to send you some vegan chocolate, but I was afraid it would melt, being it's so hot there where you live. Aw, that thought is very kind of you. But yes, it would melt. It would, yeah. Maybe if you're gonna send vegan chocolate, put a mold under it. But no, I appreciate that. But Marilyn, you don't have to do that. Thank you, though. You guys are so sweet. Oh, camera check. Thank you. Yes. Wait, it's the music. What's happening? Okay. Yellow. Yes. Let's use the light ochre first. Sort of as a transition from the sort of purpley tone into the warmer yellowish tones next to it. I remember when I started drawing in colored pencils, or when I was doing commissions, I didn't charge any difference for adding a background in the beginning. I didn't. And then when I started drawing backgrounds in some of my drawings, I realized that sometimes the background actually takes me longer than the actual subject matter. So it is very much worth, when you are doing commissions, if I can give you any advice, separate the subject matter price and add like maybe a little column next to it as an addition. So have a price for a basic background, have a price for a intermediate background, and then have a price for a very busy advanced background. Or if you're going to give people personal quotes for their specific images, make sure that you quote them as well for the background, because it's just as time consuming as the main subject matter. And also, if you're not putting as much time into your background as the main subject matter, then your drawing isn't going to have as nice an effect. So even though it's a background, doesn't mean it deserves any less attention. So background can really make an image look amazing, so you shouldn't skimp on it. I did in the beginning. I would skimp on the background, try and do it rush. But when I started adding more attention to the background and make it look as detailed as I can, it would make a big difference in my drawings. Okay, let's add some of the brighter yellows, and then we'll blend this in and then sort of see where we're at. Yes. Bright yellow, how bright? This bright. Yes. So this is Canary Yellow, number 250. Oh, Marilyn, that's so sweet. Yes, I do have a PO box, and if you look on my website and you scroll all the way to the bottom, it's like a little footer, then you will see the PO box address. Thank you, that's very nice. I received some Christmas cards in the mail, so thank you to those that sent me Christmas cards. That was very, very sweet. Okay, so I'm using Canary Yellow. Oh, thank you, Gareth. Whoa, that's a lot. That's a lot. Thank you very much. Gareth says, whoop whoop, live streams are back. And he just used the super chat. Thank you. Make sure that if you guys want to know about every single live stream that I'm doing, sign up for my newsletter, because a few days ago I sent out the January newsletter that has the link to or that tells you about all the live streams that I'm doing in the month, if you want to keep up to date with that. Thank you very much, Gareth. I appreciate that. Okay, so now I can use some of this brighter yellow along the edges. Oh, Garrett, so you don't know. I moved to my website, so I'm moving away from Patreon. So the transition will happen over the course of the year, but right now I have all my content on my website, and for those that don't want to use Patreon, they can subscribe straight to the website and they'll still receive, they get more content than what I have available on Patreon. So I would say thanks to you for really putting those ideas in my head, because of some troubles that people are facing with Patreon and other platforms similar to that. Valerie. That was so out there. Shells, we were supposed to talk camera / live stream today. Yes, after live stream. But Valerie, I can actually give you the short and quick answer to that. So Valerie, if you guys are wondering, next, is it Friday or Saturday? We are going to do a live Google Hangout. And all I have to do, Val, is I just have to invite you. So I will call you on Google Hangout, and then it will be streamed live, and I'll give you the live stream link. It's that simple. But we'll test it anyways. We'll test it before the time. But anyways, Val and I are doing a live collaboration where I'm going to do pyrography. So using a burning tool to burn an image to a piece of board. And Val, because she's a pro at it, check out her channel if you haven't seen it already. Most of you will know her already. She is going to talk me through it live for the first time. I'm going to use it for the first time live. So, pressure's on, Val. I'm going to check out your teaching skills. But it's going to be good because then it's good for Val because she can see what kind of questions an utmost beginner will have during the process of starting something like that for the first time. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Robert's like, you're going to cook with Val. Oh no. Oh, Valerie said hi first. Sorry, I didn't see it. Oh dear. Okay. So we got some nice bright yellows in there. Add some yellows somewhere else. I may have gone a little bit overboard with my yellow. We've got to bring in some more of these orange tones. Right. So let's bring in some more of the warmer tones. So we're going to use the Venetian red. What is going on with this music? It says that it's playing, but I don't hear anything. Anyways. Okay, so this Venetian red. Right, over here. Okay, let's blend that in just so I can see where we add. But before I do that, actually I'd like to use my Ivory Black number 496. And I'm just going to block in some of this black here. Okay, blending in. Rob says, how doesn't it turn green mixing yellow and blue? I don't know. I guess you're not really mixing the yellow and the blue. You're just applying the yellow over the blue. And it probably does turn a little bit to green, and then we end up making it look a little bit more brown because of the warmer tones. So instead of green, we add those reddish tones, and then it'll turn to a brownish color instead. I think that's what's happening. Thank you, Ian. I appreciate that. Ah, good point, Val. I'll make sure that I have my hair out before we work with fire. Okay. Put it up in a ponytail. I'm liking these colors are starting to look more like the colors in the reference. Not so purple. Yeah, I'll go till 1:45, so 10 more minutes. Okay, so let's do the edges. Too much. Yep. So I had too much solvent there, so lifted a bit of it off. That's going to be good if you want to add some lighter areas in the clouds, give it a little bit more shape. Look at that. This one. Thanks, Wicked. Wicked says great choice of paper for this one. Oops. Val, the Google Hangout for you and me will be on mute, and then I think you and I will still video call each other on Facebook so that we are in real time with each other, even if the Google Hangout may lag a little bit. That turned green there. Ah, okay, cool. Wow. Yep. Oh no. I have to go. I don't want to end the stream like this. It's only gonna start looking pretty now. This is like the ugly duckling phase. Yeah. That is just all I can do right now. What I will do real quick is add a little bit of white on the edges of the clouds. And that's gonna lighten down. it's 1:45. I gotta go. Okay, I have to go. But I think you guys get the idea. So once we blend that white in smooth, that's going to bring the highlights out a bit more. But it's going to be super fun when we get to put the silhouettes in. And so this is what we want. This is what we've got so far. I can see that my blue needs to be more blue, less green, and my yellow has to be a brighter yellow. So I can see that. And then I'm looking very forward to putting my own design on there, where I have this profile of the face, which is going to go over the top. But we'll do that all tomorrow, same time. So I'll start, I think it's 4 p.m. CDT, which is 9 a.m. my time in Melbourne time, Australia. And we'll continue on with this and make this look nice. So right now it's still, like I said, ugly duckling phase, but this sort of layering is what makes an image look realistic. So you need to take the time to build up those layers, and then the more you do that, the more and more beautiful it becomes. Okay, thank you everyone for tuning in today. I really had a lot of fun, and I do like this paper very much. The materials that I use are in the description. The link to enter the Color Pencil magazine January challenge is in the description as well. But if you want to watch me finish this, I'll be back tomorrow to do part 2 of this, because I said I would. Alright, thanks so much guys, and I will see you tomorrow.